I never imagined my life would take such a twisted turn. I spent my early 20s scrimping and saving, determined to break free from the cycle of financial struggle that had plagued my family for generations. My plan was simple: work hard, save every penny, and retire early at 35, enjoying a life free of the constant stress of money. I believed that self-reliance and careful planning would be my salvation. But life, as it often does, had other plans. Growing up, I watched as my parents lavished attention and resources on my older brother, Adam. They always said he was a genius, destined for greatness, and his every whim was met with unconditional support. I, on the other hand, was told to fend for myself. While they funded Adam's extravagant education and business ventures, I had to scrape together my future with every hard-earned dollar. I resented the imbalance, but I kept my feelings bottled up, channeling my anger into relentless work and unwavering discipline. I promised myself that one day I would prove that my way was better, that financial independence was the true mark of success. By the time I hit 35, I had built a comfortable nest egg, enough to retire early and live life on my own terms. I had a modest apartment in the city, a small but thriving online business, and plans to travel and explore the world. For a few blissful years, I lived in peace, knowing I had secured my future. That is until the day my carefully constructed world began to crumble. It started with a phone call. I was sitting in my living room when my mother, with her usual tone of concern, informed me that Adam's business was failing. The news was a blow, but I tried not to be too surprised. After all, the same parents who had poured money into his brilliant ideas were now facing the consequences of their blind faith in him. I listened in disbelief as she explained that they expected me to bail him out, to use my hard-earned savings to rescue the project they believed was his ticket to success. I felt a knot form in my stomach. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. All those years of scrimping, all the sacrifices I made, and now my parents wanted me to throw it all away for a brother they had never supported me. I told them, with as much calm as I could muster, that I had worked too hard to see my future ruined by their reckless decisions. But they didn't understand. In their eyes, family was everything, and I was the one who had always been left to fend for myself. That call marked the beginning of a bitter and unforgiving betrayal. As the days passed, I tried to come to terms with the situation. I revisited every moment of my life, every sacrifice I had made, and every time I had been overlooked for Adam's golden opportunities. I realized that I had spent my whole life building a safety net, only to have it exploited by those I trusted the most. The sense of betrayal cut deeper than any financial loss could. I decided then that I would not be the scapegoat for my family's failures. I began plotting my revenge, not in the sense of a petty grudge, but as a carefully measured response to the years of exploitation and neglect. I needed to show my parents and my brother that I was not someone to be trifled with, that I had my own agency, and that their expectations were a mistake. I started by distancing myself, refusing any further communication with them. Every call, every message was met with silence. I had built a fortress of independence around my life, and I intended to keep it that way. At first, I tried to help Adam in small ways, suggesting strategies, offering advice on saving money, and even reaching out to potential investors through my network. But he was too proud, too stubborn to accept help from someone he had always considered inferior. Our interactions were fraught with tension, and I could see the resentment in his eyes every time he dismissed my suggestions. It was as if he believed that my hard work was an affront to his so-called genius. I realized then that Adam would never see the value in my efforts, and that my time was better spent elsewhere. The real turning point came one afternoon when I received an email from a trusted friend in the business community. The email contained detailed reports of Adam's mismanagement and questionable financial decisions. It seemed that his business was not only failing, but was also on the verge of bankruptcy, leaving a trail of debt and ruined reputations in its wake. I knew that if I did nothing, my name might one day be dragged into this mess by association. My parents, blinded by their loyalty, had already started circulating rumors about my brother's inevitable success, claiming that any setback was merely a temporary hiccup. I couldn't let that stand. I decided to take matters into my own hands. I hired a forensic accountant to dig into Adam's business dealings, and I discreetly began gathering evidence of the financial misdeeds that had led to the collapse of his company. Every piece of information, Every shred of evidence was a testament to the recklessness of his management. I kept all of this data meticulously organized, knowing that the day would come when I would need to use it to expose the truth. The opportunity presented itself sooner than I expected. A prominent business journal announced that it was investigating several high-profile cases of corporate fraud, and Adam's name was mentioned among them. This was my chance. I compiled all the evidence I had gathered and anonymously tipped off the journal, providing them with detailed reports and records that I had painstakingly assembled over the past few months. The journal's investigation made headlines, and within weeks, Adam's reputation was in tatters. His business partners, investors, and even his once loyal customers began to distance themselves from him. It was a public unraveling, and I watched it unfold with a mixture of satisfaction and sorrow. Watching Adam's fall was not something I relished. It was a necessary act of self-defense. I had spent decades nurturing my own dreams, only to have them jeopardized by the selfish ambitions of my family. The news of his failure and the subsequent scandal reached my parents, and they were livid. They demanded that I come to their aid, insisting that I use my savings to bail him out and restore the family's honor. But I refused. I could no longer be complicit in a charade that had cost me so much. Their pleas turned into threats, and for the first time, I saw the true extent of their hypocrisy. I remember the night I received a voicemail from my father. His voice was thick with anger and disappointment. He accused me of betrayal, of abandoning my family when we needed me the most. But the irony was not lost on me. I had given everything to ensure my own independence, only to have it exploited by those who claimed to love me. I listened to his words, each one a dagger to my heart, but I did not relent. I knew that forgiving them would only open the door for further manipulation. In the weeks that followed, the fallout was swift and severe. Adam's creditors moved in, and legal proceedings began. The once celebrated genius was now a pariah in the business world, and my parents, unable to cope with the disgrace, turned their anger entirely toward me. They cut me off completely, severing all ties and leaving me with nothing but the bitter taste of betrayal. I found solace in the quiet of my apartment, where I could reflect on the choices I had made and the price I had paid for my independence. But revenge, as I had planned it, was not a mere act of defiance. It was a transformation. I took the wealth I had saved over the years and reinvested it into ventures that aligned with my values, ventures that promised a brighter future for those who had been overlooked by the traditional systems of power and privilege. I became a mentor to young entrepreneurs, offering guidance and support to those who were determined to succeed on their own terms. In doing so, I not only rebuilt my life, but I also created a legacy that was far more meaningful than the empty promises of my family. Every time I saw the headlines about another corporate scandal or heard whispers of Adam's continuing misfortunes, I felt a sense of vindication. I had not only saved myself from the clutches of a toxic family dynamic, but I had also sent a clear message. The true measure of success lies in independence and self-respect, not in blind loyalty and misplaced trust. Looking back, I realized that the path I chose was not an easy one. The journey from financial independence to personal liberation was fraught with challenges and sacrifices. I had to confront painful truths about the people I loved and the values I once held dear. But in the end, I emerged stronger and more determined than ever. My parents' betrayal, my brother's arrogance, and the collapse of a family legacy that had long been built on favoritism and denial were all catalysts for a transformation that I now cherish. I understand that some might see my actions as ruthless, as if I had simply orchestrated a cold and calculated downfall for those who had wronged me. But I believe that true justice does not lie in forgiveness or reconciliation when the wounds run too deep. There comes a point in life when you must decide whether to be a victim or a victor, and I chose the latter. I chose to reclaim my power, to build a life on my own terms, and to let the consequences of betrayal be the fuel that drives you forward. The irony of it all is that while my parents and Adam wallowed in their despair, I found a profound sense of freedom in my solitude. I realized that true happiness does not come from the approval of those who have wronged you, but from the realization that you are capable of forging your own destiny. I have no regrets, and I harbor no ill will, only a firm resolve to never again allow anyone to dictate the terms of my life. In the quiet moments when the echoes of the past seem too loud, I remind myself that I have earned every bit of peace and success that I now enjoy. Revenge, in this case, was not an act of malice. It was a declaration of independence. It was a message to the world that I would not be defined by the mistakes and failings of my family. I had taken the reins of my future and steered it in a direction that reflected my values and aspirations. And while the scars of betrayal may never fully fade, they serve as a constant reminder of the strength and resilience that lie within me. Today, as I sit in my modest office overlooking a bustling cityscape, I reflect on the long, arduous journey that brought me here. I am no longer the person who once yearned for parental approval or sacrificed personal dreams for the sake of family. I have learned that sometimes the greatest act of love you can show yourself is to walk away from a toxic legacy and build a new one from the ashes. And in doing so, I have not only saved myself, I have saved countless others who, like me, have been caught in the web of unrealistic expectations and misplaced loyalties. My story is one of both triumph and tragedy. It is a reminder that sometimes the most significant battles are fought not on battlefields, but within the confines of our own hearts and minds. I have learned that in life, you must sometimes let go of the past to embrace a future filled with possibilities. The pain of betrayal may linger, but it also serves as a beacon, guiding you towards a life of authenticity, self-reliance, and, ultimately, freedom. There are moments when I still feel the weight of my parents' disapproval, the sting of Adam's arrogance, and the burden of the legacy they tried to impose upon me. But I have come to see that these are the very challenges that shaped me into the person I am today, a person who values hard work, integrity, and the pursuit of a life defined on one's own terms. And while my heart may carry the scars of a broken family, it also beats with the rhythm of a new beginning, a beginning that promises endless opportunities for those who dare to defy expectations and rise above adversity. In the end, I stand not as a victim, but as a survivor and a victor, a testament to the power of resilience, the strength of self-determination, and the unyielding spirit of independence. My journey has been anything but conventional, marked by painful betrayals, bitter disappointments, and hard-won victories. But it is a journey that has led me to a place of true freedom and self-respect, a place where I can finally say that I am in control of my destiny. This is not merely a tale of revenge or a chronicle of a family torn apart by misplaced favoritism. It is a celebration of the human spirit's ability to rise from the ashes, to transform sorrow into strength, and to find beauty in the struggle for independence. Every setback, every betrayal, every moment of despair has been a stepping stone towards a future that I now proudly call my own. I saved diligently, not to accumulate wealth for its own sake, but to secure the freedom to make choices that reflected my true self. I worked tirelessly, not to conform to a predetermined destiny, but to prove to myself that I was capable of achieving greatness on my own terms. And while my parents and brother may have built their lives on a foundation of privilege and favoritism, I built mine on grit, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to my own vision of success. As I look back on those turbulent years, I realize that every act of defiance, every moment of rebellion against the expectations of my family was a step towards liberation. I will never forgive the betrayal, and I never will. For in that unforgiveness lies the strength to continue standing tall, to continue forging a path that is uniquely my own, and to continue reaping the rewards of a life built on resilience, hard work, and unwavering independence. There will always be reminders of the past, the cold stares of those who once celebrated Adam's so-called genius, the whispers of regret from my parents, and the lingering sense of betrayal that has shaped every decision I make. Yet, each reminder now serves as a catalyst for further growth, a prompt to continue on the path of self-determination and integrity. I have learned that sometimes the only way to overcome a toxic legacy is to build something entirely new, brick by brick, with your own two hands. Over the years since that fateful call, I've come to realize that life is a series of calculated risks, and sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones that set you free. I have forged alliances with those who, like me, have been burned by misplaced trust. Together, we have built a network of independent thinkers and doers, a community that thrives on accountability and self-respect. We share our triumphs and failures openly, knowing that every experience, no matter how painful, contributes to our collective wisdom. The meetings are raw and unfiltered, filled with stories of shattered dreams and the relentless pursuit of a better tomorrow. In these moments, I see reflections of my younger self, driven by the need to break free from the chains of expectation. I have often wondered what might have happened if I had chosen to follow the path of forgiveness, if I had allowed the wounds inflicted by my family to heal over time. But even as I entertain such thoughts, I know deep down that forgiveness would have meant relinquishing the hard-earned wisdom that came from standing alone in the face of betrayal. It would have meant allowing the very people who had wronged me to continue their lives unchallenged, to perpetuate a cycle of dependency and entitlement that I had spent a lifetime fighting against. I have come to see that true forgiveness is not about absolving someone of their misdeeds. It is about freeing oneself from the chains of the past. In the years since I cut ties with my family, I have built relationships that are based on mutual respect and shared values. I surround myself with individuals who understand that life is not about appeasing others, but about carving out a space where you can thrive on your own terms. These relationships are genuine, devoid of the pretense and obligation that once characterized my interactions with family. In their stead, I have found friendships that are as deep and enduring as any familial bond, friendships that have withstood the test of time and hardship. Together, we celebrate each victory, no matter how small, as a reminder that every step forward is a triumph over the forces that once sought to hold us back. Now, as I conclude this chapter, I am reminded that true independence is never a straight path. It is a labyrinth of challenges and opportunities to learn, grow, and assert your worth. I am proud of who I have become because of the betrayals, for they forged an unbreakable resolve that guides every new venture forward.